Right. How you doing?
Here's to you. All right.
Coffee
Good
guy?
morning.
How you doing? Are you in San
I'm doing.
Francisco?
I know I'm in Arizona.
Okay. Yeah, because you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
Kelly Keegy, welcome to Chaos Conversations, brother. Jumping right into it, man. San Francisco, were you born there, or was that just where the band formed or started,
That's what
or?
that's where the band formed. I moved there in like 1973. I was originally Los Angeles, and for spent some time in Oregon after my parents moved up there, and I was in high school.
Oregon's
Right.
beautiful. Love it up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, really great. And then, but I ended up down there because the band started playing a lot down there, so I just moved there. And then eventually, I met Brad and Jack. A few years later, probably like '78. After I was there for about 4 years, 5 years playing in clubs and stuff, and I met them.
Yeah, right
Yeah.
on. So San Francisco, 49er fan?
Oh, I was then. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So
Uh,
when they were
now,
losing.
I just float. I love uh, Detroit. I mean, I love watching them. I love, of course, Los Angeles. They got right there, but I'm in a household that is Chicago Bears.
Oh,
So they were in they're from Indiana, and so I have to And then last year I got a chance to go to that playoff game against L.A. and Chicago, right?
right,
And that was like huge, man. That was like holy crap. That was awesome. Almost got there, you know.
right. Well, yeah, the Rams went on to do that too. I mean, they ended up winning that year, I think, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great, man.
And yeah,
How about
they
you?
49er fan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah, me and my buddy Dave, we were watching TV one day, we are just hanging out, and he's like, let's watch this football game. And it was the Vikings versus the 49ers. He's like, I like the guys in purple. I'm like, I'll take the
wow.
guys in red and gold. And
So really loyal.
I've been loyal since the 70s, yeah, man. And it wasn't good back then when we started. It was rough, but we got a chance, I think, this year to. But we're in LA's division again, so who knows? Yeah, I mean, everybody's just
Oh,
so
I
good,
know. Oh,
so
and
good.
I was there. Of course, the band was, during the '80s, and so it was, Montana and that whole era of the 49ers was amazing to watch. And I just remember watching the 49ers and the Packers in the early '90s playoffs, and it was just like I was like, oh my God, So I was a 49ers fan for a long, long time, but you know, I, I tend to like to float now because I'm just
Yeah.
I'm not loyal. I don't give a shit. I like watching football.
I'm a floater now too, man. I've got five boys, and they all like different teams. So yeah, I
Oh,
kind of root for all of them.
yeah, right.
Yeah,
Dad, what are you
right,
doing?
right. Oh yeah, and they're at each other too. Some of the teams, but yeah. Well, welcome again, Kelly Keegy, Chaos Conversations. For folks who don't know, Night Ranger, a huge band. You mentioned one or two songs, and they're like, oh yeah, And of course, Sister Christian is always on the top of the list.
Yeah. So, yeah, we just did a new release of the best of, and it's our choice of the best of. There's some old songs on there too. Don't Tell Me, Rockin' America, Sisters on there. Um, and but we wanted to cherry pick songs from the last 20 years of with the label Frontiers. And so there was a bunch of songs in there that maybe people hadn't heard. And that was the whole point is we wanted to bring attention to those songs that maybe people missed, but at the same time, there's some old favorites on there that we remastered and found some different tapes and did some different things too. And so there's some new listening there. So that we thought we'd throw that in there. But it's awesome, man. I mean, if I do say so myself, that some of those songs that are deep tracks from the last 20 years are in there.
Yeah, I saw Breakout and Wasted Time and a couple other songs on the CD.
Great,
But
great. Yeah, some
yeah,
some ballads too that might have got missed over that are like some of our favorites. So
yeah. And Sister Christian, it does. It sounds enhanced, a new version. It sounds good. What did you do technically to that song to kind of
we kind of
make
stripped it down. We kind of stripped away the reverb and the kind of the older sounding, which is that was part of the charm back in the day.
right?
But we also wanted the melodies to become more clear. So we just kind of messed with it. We remastered. We found a alternate takes maybe or something like that on some of these other songs. Because some of the players, like Jeff Watson, who's not in the band anymore, but he played on one of the songs. He played on Rockin' America. Joel Hoekstra played on Don't Tell Me You Love Me. So we had some of the other players on there, and then of course the lineup that's with us right now, which is Kerry Kelly and Eric Levy on keyboard. So those guys have been with us for throughout all those albums. They played on them too. So it's nice to have them included in it.
Yeah. And when did you connect with Jack Blades? I know you mentioned that earlier that he was one of the first guys you met. Is that was in San Francisco?
Yeah, there was some local bands in the late '70s around the Bay Area. Rubicon was one of them
Oh
that
yeah.
had Jerry Martini and Max Haskett from Cold Blood, Jerry Martini from Sly and the Family Stone, and they put a band together, and Jack and Brad were a part of that. And then I joined that band in like 1979 on the second album. And then that band morphed into a smaller thing called Stereo, and which was kind of a nucleus for Night Ranger because eventually we got Jeff Watson and Alan Fitzgerald in the band, and that became Night Ranger. But there was maybe we were in two bands before Night Ranger was formed, so we were around doing clubs and stuff like that. So
Yeah. And Night Ranger, the name of the band, what a cool name. Where did we come up with that?
we picked it out of a hat. We put all these names in a hat, but there was originally it was just Ranger, right?
Right.
And so that was how we chose that name. But then when we went to put out the album, this is after we were signed, the album was mixed, getting ready to promo,
Right.
and somebody already had the name Ranger or the Rangers. It was a country act from the South, and they put an ad in Billboard like maybe 4 weeks before we were ready to drop our record, and it said 20 years of country music, the
Oh
Rangers,
man.
and the record company called up in a panic. They were like, "We already printed 10,000 copies of the album. What are we gonna do?" And we were like, and we had already written this song called Night Ranger on the first album. So we just said, well, what if we call it Night Ranger? It was like, what are you going to do with the artwork? Because it said, it still had the logo, but it said, Ranger on it. So we just put a night on top of it and squashed it in there, and that became, the name of the band. We were like, okay, great, go ahead and go back and reprint. And then we got off the phone and we were like, that's the worst freaking name I've ever. Oh my God, this is the worst. We were just like, oh my God,
So you
So,
really did pull
so,
it
but
out of a hat.
you really make it, what it is. You make a name. I mean, look at the Beatles, for crying out loud. A bug,
Right.
it's like,
Right.
but you just make it what it is.
Do you remember some of the other names you guys put in the hat? And did you
Um,
ever think about,
oh
geez, that would have
shit,
been
I
a better
wish I
one?
did. That
Yeah,
would be
right.
a great game, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I got to think about that. I'll get back to you on that one.
I want to talk about you a little bit, Kelly Keagy. It's rare that there's a singer who plays the drums that pulls it off, and you do, and you have since the beginning. I only know of a few other, a handful, right? Where did you get the idea, and did you sing first, or were you playing drums first?
I did both at the same time. I
Oh,
was learning both at the same time when I was about 8. because of neighborhood guys, and we were getting together and trying to form a band. And we all kind of took turns at singing, and I just realized that I had the knack for singing because I was just, infatuated with music at that time, early 60s, throughout the 60s. And I just studied that stuff. I tried to learn how to sing like those singers. And so I had different styles that I gravitated towards, R&B, Motown was my favorite back then. So with Motown, rock and roll, and the Beatles and all those bands that came up, Buffalo Springfield, and vocal groups. So I just learned how to like sing and play, and my playing is basic. I just hold it down because the vocal is really the most important thing. So that's where I learned how to do it is from the beginning.
Wow, since you were 8 or 9, and you just haven't stopped. And was there a point where you said, "Wow, man, maybe it'd be cool if I jumped out in front of the set and just grabbed a microphone by myself and did it that way, or what if I just passed the vocals on to, did you ever think about jumping out front?"
I get my moments to come out front and do songs, but it's a really great challenge for me to keep it going after all these years, and I enjoy it. But yes, there are those times when I just my head gets scrambled. I'll be up there playing and I'll be like, it's like, oh my God, the
Right.
rhythm of the vocal is conflicting with the rhythm that I play. I mean, I had to get over that, and it took years and years to figure it out. But yeah, there are times when I like to step out there and just deliver the vocal because that is my passion. The vocal is everything to me. So
Yeah, Kelly Keagy, Night Ranger. You mentioned, and we had a question from Rick Boathouse Bob's cousin, a friend, who had said, singing and playing drums. Influences you mentioned R&B and Motown. Can you give us some names, maybe who you were listening to that, with the
well,
drums and the singing?
well, as far as that, it was probably Ringo because I was listening live when they played at the Hollywood Bowl in 1964,
Wow.
and they broadcast over KHJ radio at that time, which is Los Angeles, and so I was listening, and they played the song "Boy," which Ringo sings, right? And I was like struck, by and he was playing and singing, and I was like, wait a minute, it took me a while to figure it out. It's like, oh my God, this is the drummer singing,
Right.
and from then on, I knew I could push myself to do it. So it was Ringo the first time I ever heard, and then Pete Rivera,
Oh, yeah.
from oh damn, he was a lead vocalist and drummer for hello, we
I know.
we better we better
I'm,
pause. Let me.
I'm trying to
It's
think too.
it's a they God, I'm sorry,
I
I'll come
know.
up with it though.
It'll come back. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. um Shoot, I'm still trying to think about who it was.
No big.
Gotta have the album in the other room, but anyway.
Right.
So it was bands like, of course, the Eagles. I mean, Don
Yeah.
Henley. When you first heard the Eagles and they were coming out with the singles, you didn't know who was singing unless you went and saw them play live.
Right.
So when they had like Witchy Woman, and some of those songs, it was like holy crap, man, who are these guys? Are they
Yeah.
just singing? Is it, and then when you go to see them live and they're playing and sing. But I was struck by, Henley was, of course, was up there and it was like this, it was like the cymbals were like, and it's behind
Right.
the drum set. I'm like, wait, hold on.
Right.
How can we get that better? So we, as an opener, we changed the format of the way we set up because I was singing a lot of the songs at that time and still do it. And so we moved the drum set around so you could see me and the guys could perform in the middle. So we got that together.
Amen. This is awesome. It's good to talk to you, man. When does the album come out? The Best of, and it's called Night Ranger Best of.
Yeah, it comes out
Is it
in
August
this August
28th?
28th. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, the 28th of August. And like I said, there's some really great songs on there that we always thought that people, just kind of skipped over. The way people buy, they just go and they buy the one that has the most little dots next to it. It's like
Right.
and sometimes they miss, because I mean, you just buy singles a lot of times, and a lot of these songs, were just they weren't written as filler. We always try to write, with songs and that are different, throughout the album, so that people will have a good experience listening. And then I'll sing some, and that was the one thing about us, is that we had two lead singers. Jack Blaze is fucking awesome,
Yeah.
and so having two lead singers, it kind of made it more interesting. And I think that's what the cherry picking of some of these songs is that I'm singing some, or we're both singing within a song and stuff like that. So I think it's really cool.
Yeah. And you've been working around Jack Blades. He had a, side project here and there too.
Yeah.
So I mean, no slouch, right? So that was pretty cool. How did that conversation come about? It's like, hey, I know I'm kind of hanging with the band now, but I want to try this other thing. How does that
Oh
work?
man.
It was
We're
cool.
Yeah, we're totally open to to
But
anything like that.
there are a lot of
You
bands
know.
that aren't, though, is what I'm saying, Kelly. Like you
Yeah,
guys
of
are just so
course,
cool about it, right? And
of
is that
course.
was that the California vibe, that San Francisco vibe, that chill Don Henley, that chill Kelly Keegy, that chill.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's just about music, and we embrace everybody else's projects. I'm doing a solo record. I mean, stuff like that.
Are
Next
you?
year, and I
Oh,
think Brad's working on it too. And Jack's got the Kings of Chaos, and he's got
right.
the TMG Japanese band. That he's going to be working with and go over there and play. And I mean, it's just all of it helps, I think, to bring attention to Night Ranger eventually. I mean, I think it's awesome that everybody's doing something to keep them busy too.
Yeah, yep. And the track listing on the best of, you've stacked it pretty good with some of those bigger hits up top.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we remastered, or we found some different takes of those songs, so it's not just the same thing. They sound a little bit different, so we wanted to find maybe a different drum take or a guitar take, and then and then a different vocal, and it's just like, and then remastered, so that really cleaned things up a lot. And we had Anthony Fox, who's been working with us for 25 years, on all of our albums, engineer, and he remastered and remixed some of these things. And so he's been in there for a while. And I mean, I was going to say, there's some of these songs I was looking at the list, and there's like, um, No Time to Lose You,
Right.
the time of our lives. I mean, there's a great, a bunch of ballads in there. Oh, Rare Earth. Thank
Rare
you.
Earth. Thank you. You came to, I was just going to look it up on my phone just to,
He
so we
was
could,
the drummer and lead singer of the band. So they
wow.
did they and
And they did
and
Celebrate, right? So
oh
I just
my
want to
God,
celebrate. Yeah.
yeah, Celebrate, and they did some Motown covers that were just spectacular. And he was a great drummer too. He was like do a drum solo, and he was a great player. But his voice, was like, oh my God, it's like the drummer's singing. How is that? Well, let's figure it out.
Right.
I always wanted to.
Well, let's say, aside from Don Henley and Ringo Starr, who are your top three drummers?
I like I do like the pocket drummers, the guys that were like in some of the soundtracks of our lives, like Jeff Porcaro, you
Right.
know, who was with Toto, but he also played on numerous sessions, played Steely Dan tracks, and just like that.
Right.
Bernard Purdy, an old R&B drummer that played on Asia, the Steely
Wow.
Dan record back in the 70s. I mean, Bernard Purdy, man, played with uh, on so many hits like Respect from the
Oh,
Queen, and played on so many songs. He actually jammed with our band one time. He came in and jammed with us, and it was like I was just standing next to him, and I was like going, God, this guy. I mean, I wish I would have had, been able to record it. It's like, holy shit. You know?
Right, right. Well, it's good to talk to you. I know our time is limited here,
Yeah.
Kelly Keegy. Yeah, man. But thank you very much for all your time. Yeah, I see there's a lot of processing and equipment behind you there. Are you doing a lot of the recording yourself for your solo album right in your
Yep.
studio room there?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Got the whole rig here that I've had for probably maybe 15 years. I've done, a lot of the recordings. I did probably all the drum tracks, maybe on this list, were
Wow.
done at home. The vocals too. Any vocals that I did from these albums, I probably sang on them. Not the old ones, of course; those are old takes. But yeah, I mean, over the years, you just realize that you could probably benefit from having a recording studio in your house if you know how to run it. And there's a learning curve with it, of course, but after 20 years, you learn how to do it,
Oh, yeah.
and you're basically using analog gear to capture a performance. Because we're all about those sounds of analog and the circuitry and all that stuff is the best. Same thing with microphones. You just learn those techniques, and then you let somebody like Anthony Fox take it and build it and make it happen. But
Man, yeah, awesome. And last question, touring. Are we going to get out on the road again? We're out now.
I'm going on Thursday.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, we're doing like 60 or so dates this year.
Wow.
We're going to Japan to play with Journey on a special show. We did a goodbye tour a year ago, and then the promoter wanted to bring us back because Journey's on their last tour. They're doing the Last Frontier, and so they brought us in to do a show with them. So we're very excited to go over there,
Yeah,
and just a one-off.
great.
So we're going to go over there and play, and then get right back to America and finish out the year. So we still got about 15 or 20 days. Well,
We can still rock in America, Kelly Key.
you know it, brother.
Rock and roll. Thanks so much for being on Chaos Conversations today, man. I really appreciate it. And the album comes out August 28th. Are we going to do wax with it? Some wax, colored wax, maybe? Records,
Yeah,
album,
there's
final?
some colors and some different, like I think it's red, white, and blue, or something. I think, yeah.
Oh, that'd
What does
be
it say? Yeah,
awesome.
different colors: black, gold, and orange, and then
Wow.
splatter. How about that?
Splatter sounds awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I still love listening to the albums, man.
Oh man, that's great. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good man. Thank you so much for the opportunity. We appreciate it.